Hi, Patty Bennett here with PattyStamps.com, coming to you live from my stamp class. Just thought you might like to see some of the projects we're working on tonight. So this is one of them. We're going to be using the crepe filter paper from Stampin' Up. This is the package here, and the petite pocket die, and the floral frames framelits to cut out the crepe paper, and then we're going to color it. I'll show you how we're going to do that and decorate this cute little pocket. Okay, our second project tonight is this little pocket, and it's the petite pocket die. It's like a little envelope. You can seal it up or you can put things in and have them stick out. But it's decorated with a flower that we're going to make with the crepe paper. And this is a package that comes just like this, and you get circles and 6x12 rectangles. And I used the floral framelits, and I used all 4 of these sizes, and I cut them out of the big rectangle piece. So your flowers are pre-cut in a package. And then I also die cut, I wanted it a little fuller than just those, so I also die cut, there's a new set, I think this is the flower right here, there's a new set of floral frames in the spring catalog that I used that one, and then I punched out of the blossom punch so that you had several extra layers to work with.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, you may ask a question.
Did the punch hold?
You need to, a good question, you need to put a piece of like this kind of, or just copy paper under the flimsy crepe paper. I actually punched through 2 layers at once with the copy paper, and then it'll punch right through, and it punched fine. It didn't make it raggedy or anything, so that's a great question. So what you're going to do to make this flower is to put your pieces out, and you'll find that there's 2 of everything, so you can separate them. However, don't separate these all completely. Let things kind of overlap, and I'll show you why. Because you're going to spritz these, and if you want some areas to turn out lighter, they kind of need to be covered by other layers. Otherwise, everything will end up being totally monochromatic, which is fine if you just want to do a solid pink flower, a solid yellow flower, whatever. But I liked it kind of all different colors. Again, trying to go for one of the flowers in my garden. So to color them, I have taken our Stampin' Spritzers, and I have different colors of reinkers in them along with rubbing alcohol. And I did learn this is important. You want to use the 70%. I have been using 90, and you know, in class we've had some trouble where we don't get a nice spray and it kind of blobs once in a while. It's because I had 90, and you get intoxicated. And I didn't know you're supposed to use 70, and I heard that on another video, and ever since I've been using 70, these things work so much better.
Okay, I didn't
Interesting. I know, isn't that like, you know, learn something every day, right? So you just want to make sure that you shake it, because if it's sitting for any length of time, you know, you want to make sure that the ink is all mixed in there. So I have some daffodil, and I have melon mambo, and I was going to say cameo coral. Calypso coral. That dates me, doesn't it? And regal rose. So they're all just different in there. And you can pick whatever colors you'd like, and you can spray it however you like. I kind of like get it going over here on the side, and then just do some spritzes. That probably looks like it was cameo coral. And this is probably Daffodil Delight, I would think. Oh, sorry, Patricia, did I just squirt you? And then I'm going to do, this looks like it's some Melon Mambo. Oh, yeah, that's a little bright, Melon Mambo. So you don't need a whole lot of that one. And, well, this one, who knows what this one is? Maybe this, this is probably the Regal Rose, yeah. All right. I'm going to put a little more yellow on there just because I really like the yellow shades.
You should mention the holder too.
Oh, I should mention the holder too.
That your husband made.
Yeah, except that they're back ordered and we're not going to have those for a little while. But yes, the holder is something that my husband made for me as well. Thank you for reminding me on that. It's very handy dandy. It's really what it's especially handy for is when you set it here and you use it to hold it while you pour in your rubbing alcohol and drip your reinker, because otherwise it will tend to, you know, fall over. And And then this will need to dry just for a few seconds, but you can see as I separate them how there are lighter layers and darker, see that, by the ones that got covered? And that's the idea, is you don't really want it completely solid. Like I said, unless you want a totally, just one whole big color, that would be fine. So as that dries, what you're going to want to do is grab your die cut and put that together. So we'll just let that dry for a few seconds. And this is very simple because it's already scored. And so you just fold in the side tabs and put some adhesive on those, and then fold this edge up. And then I have cut some of the T for 2 designer paper, and you can just wrap that around and secure it tightly, and that'll get it ready for you to put your flower on. And you can also stamp your tag that I die cut with the Apothecary accent framelit. So that should let your flowers dry just enough while you're getting that done. And then you're going to layer these together. I would suggest that you do not try to make them perfectly layered on top of each other, because then that will give you a little added dimension and a little extra interest here on the flower.
Put them in the
From
size,
largest to
yeah.
smallest, right, but I'm not trying to make them line up really perfectly. And then you take your paper piercing mat and your pokey tool, and you poke a hole in the center, and make sure that you kind of wiggle it around to widen that hole. And then I did have to laugh because you don't even see the center brad. I was so worried about what brad should we put in the center. Well, guess what? What you do is you just use up whatever you have the most of.
recycle.
Yes. So then you take each layer and you pull it up. So I'm kind of pinching and pulling up one layer at a time, and pinching it up and pulling it up. Okay, so when you get to your last layer, then you're just sort of pinching down here at the base. So I'm pinching underneath here. And then you just sort of fluff it back out as much or as little as you would like to. And there's your flower. And so you can see where the lighter parts really make it interesting. It's almost a camellia look in a way. And then the last thing I did was back onto the paper towel here, is that I do have some champagne mist shimmer paint mixed with this alcohol in this one, and I spritzed it to give it a little bit of shimmer. So I don't know if you can see the difference here in the two, that one is a little bit shimmery and one is not. It may be hard to pick up, but at any rate, you can shimmer it or you do not have to. It just depends what you'd like to do. And then as that dries, you'll start to see that shimmer come out and really make it
So was there less leaves on this one because it's smaller?
So on this sample, which I decided to just put on a card, I left off those two largest ones, and I did a couple extra layers of that punched blossom flower. And that's just the difference, is that there's more fullness in the smaller layers than there is with a larger one. And it just depends what you want it for. You know, if you want it for something bigger or something smaller, you can include bigger or smaller layers. And there's actually even a larger die than the one that I used. This is the largest one. So if you wanted a really large flower, you could actually use that large one too. And then to add it to the project, I used dimensionals to really hold it well. And what I did because I thought this was just a little bit big, was I just sort of pulled in these back layers and scrunched them up a little bit before I put it on the project. And then I stuck it down onto the dimensionals when it was a little bit smaller. So you can leave it large or you can kind of squeeze it in before you stick it down. So either way. Or if you don't want to put it on this project, you can take it home and use it on something else. But that is the crepe paper flower.
Cool.
If you'd like to add a little extra color to your flower when it's all done, you can just take a Stampin' sponge and any color ink pad and just kind of whisk it. I'm going very lightly just to catch the little ruffly edges there. And you could add any color you wanted onto there. Let me add a little bit of daffodil and show you how that looks. So that kind of brightens it up a little with
I
the
like
yellow.
that.
Yeah. So that way you can add more colors if the spritzing didn't give you as much color as you would like.